Hey buddy, Crow back again, and as you may or may not know, I've decided to stop doing the month in review videos. I have my reasons, they're kind of pointless, but I still want to talk about games that I've played. So this is going to be my excuse to ramble on about games that I've recently finished or stopped playing or whatever. And so this is, I think we're going to be calling the series So I Played, and then the name of the game. So this is So I Played Final Fantasy VII Demo, or Final Fantasy VII Remake Demo. It's kind of a long title. So before I actually start talking about the Final Fantasy VII Remake Demo, I want to talk about Final Fantasy VII, because this is the copy of the game I had way back in the day, and it was hype. Like, Final Fantasy VII back then was super hype. The game was so hyped it got me to play games that I wouldn't have normally played, RPGs that I wouldn't have normally played. So when I got the PlayStation 1, it was shortly, a couple months after release, and I started hearing about how great Final Fantasy VII was, and it looked awesome, looking in the magazines and everything, the early internet, small videos that I would look up. I played games like Beyond the Beyond, and Wild Arms, Persona, which to this day is one of my favorite RPGs of all time. But Final Fantasy VII, I enjoyed so much that I played through Final Fantasy VII like 3, 4, 5 times. I don't remember how many times. And I'm sure I'm showing some footage on the screen right now. And I like videotaped onto VHS some footage of Final Fantasy VII. And that's kind of what you're seeing now is some VHS footage. That's why it looks so bad. But yeah, it got me really into Japanese turn-based RPGs, and I think Final Fantasy X was the last time I played one of those, because Final Fantasy XI was not the last time I played a Final Fantasy game, because then 11 was a open world RPG, and I was like, I'm not into that. And then 12 came out, and it looked too different, and then 13 I never looked into, because I think 13's about the time when they started doing the action, and they stopped doing the turn-based, if I'm thinking correctly. And then I was like, that's not an RPG to me. An RPG is when you sit and you have to do the turn-based and strategize and try to figure out who you're going to kill before they attack, just trying to figure out the turns. To me, it's like a puzzle. The fighting element in an RPG, like a turn-based RPG, was like a puzzle. Like, okay, how can I strategize to win this fight? And that's what I enjoyed about it. The second they turned it into this running around and making it real time, and I was just out of it. So let's fast forward back to, when was it that this game was announced? 2015, 2016, I don't even remember. And they announced it, a remake, and I was like, wow, that's awesome. And then I just started hearing things about the Final Fantasy VII remake that made me lose interest altogether. The first was the fact that it was going to be episodic instead of one complete game. And I was like, oh man, what are they doing? It was one complete game. Why are they separating it out? This doesn't make any sense. And then the second that made me lose interest altogether was the fact that it was no longer going to be turn-based. And I was like, well, now I'm out. I'm not interested at all, because how could they do this to Final Fantasy VII? So, all this, every time there was news about Final Fantasy VII Remake, I didn't care. But then a couple things happened that made me more interested. And the very first thing that happened was the fact that this first part is going to get a physical release. I was like, hey, it's going to get a physical release. I thought it was just going to be digital. I'm not into the digital stuff. I'm not into paying $60 for a digital game. I just will not do that. But $60 for a physical game, okay, that makes more sense. Despite the fact that this new remake is not going to say part 1. It's not going to have any indication that it's not the complete game. So, okay, whatever. We'll see. Will the subsequent parts actually say part 2 or whatever? Maybe they will. Maybe they won't even be released physically, which has me a little bit worried, because if they don't, maybe I won't even play the rest of it. But the game kept getting delayed, and I'm like, okay, well, I don't know. And it gave me more time to think about it. But then the free demo came out, and I'm like, okay, I'll download it and try the free demo. And that's what I'm actually here to talk about, is let me give this a chance. And let me say that, okay, a lot of people are just like put out videos saying, "Oh, so amazing, amazed by the graphics." Okay, the graphics are good, okay? I'm not going to say they're life-changing or anything, but yeah, I was impressed by the graphics. And the fact that, the thing that threw me off though too is, if I remember correctly, in the original Final Fantasy VII, Cloud didn't talk at all. So it kind of threw me off in one of the cutscenes when Cloud just started talking to people.
This is a one-time gig. When it's done, we're done.
And I was like, what? Wait a minute, isn't he like Link? He's a silent protagonist? But you know what? Now that I think about it, in Advent Children, the movie, Final Fantasy VII, Advent Children, the movie, I think he did talk in that as well. Oh, I kind of forgot about one of the main reasons I got back into thinking about getting Final Fantasy VII Remake is the fact that they were talking about how, oh, you could play the classic mode where it's turn-based. And I was like, oh, really? You're putting the turn-based back in the game? Maybe I'll be interested in playing through it again with the newer graphics or whatever. So one of the things I was a little bit disappointed in is when I finally downloaded it and started the game, it gives you the option of classic, easy, and normal, I believe. And, okay, normal's normal, and easy is where, okay, it's easier version of normal. But then you go to classic, and it's like, oh, this is where you can issue commands, but it's the same level as easy. I'm like, well, that kind of doesn't make me want to play classic. So I played through the demo on normal, because I just wanted, like, okay, let me give this a chance. I never really gave these types of games a chance where you run around and attack or whatever, even, you know. So I gotta say, it was okay. I think I could get into it. The downside to running around in the fights and attacking enemies is, and again, this is maybe something that I need to learn, is that I was never clear as to exactly how many enemies were left on the battlefield. So I would go and I'd attack one guy, and I was like, okay, there's somebody else left. Where is he? I'd have to go find him and attack that guy. And, oh, there's somebody else that I need to fight. Let me go find and attack that guy. Whereas if it was just classic Final Fantasy VII, you'd see all the enemies on the screen. You knew exactly how long, you know, it would take you to defeat one guy, and then you could plan out who you were going to attack. Whereas this is just spur of the moment. I'm going to run and attack the first guy I see, or I'm going to pinpoint an enemy that I think I need to take out first. But without actually seeing everything, you're not 100% sure if that's what you're doing is correct. So there were a couple instances where I would want to take out certain enemies first, but it turns out I didn't see one. Again, maybe there's something that I'm missing, because there was a lot on the screen that it took me a long time to read the HUD, as it were. Especially during that last boss fight in the game. I feel like it took me longer than it needed to beat that guy. And I actually wound up using almost all my health potions. And it just turns out that I'm just not used to playing games like this. So it just took me, and I found myself fumbling with the buttons a lot. Again, I feel like I'm not used to these types of games where it's like, okay, hitting the D-pad this way switches the characters, but hitting the D-pad this way does something else. How do you switch characters? And I'd bump the controller a weird way, and I'd accidentally switch characters when I didn't need to. And it took me a while to figure out how to switch the targeting on the monster or whatever. Oh, why can't I use an item? Why can't I use the magic? It took me a while to figure out that, oh, I have to wait for the bar to. And I'm sure the game explained all this to me, but it did explain quite a lot. And I'm sure I was like, oh, shoot, I don't remember what button I need to hit for this, and I'm hitting all these buttons. So I'm sure that if I went through and I played the demo again, I'd have a much easier time of it. But for me, it was a rude awakening for how games these days, like in this style, are actually played. It's one of the reasons why I never got into like Monster World, because it's like pretty much exactly the same thing. I tried playing Monster World with my friend, and when on the 3DS, and I'm like, I cannot get into this. After I was done with the demo, I did wind up pre-ordering it, mainly because I want the Steelbook. I'm a Steelbook fanatic, so if there's a Steelbook available, I'm going to get it. And, I mean, again, I might change my mind or whatever. I just wanted to get the Steelbook. But yeah, overall, I think this is a game I can get into, which is why I pre-ordered it. But most of all, I'm realizing as I was playing the demo that, hey, you know what? maybe it's a good thing that they're not making this game exactly the same way as the original Final Fantasy VII. Because what would be the point of playing the Final Fantasy VII again exactly the same way, but only with upgraded graphics? It's like, maybe it's good that there's a change up in the gameplay style. So I actually never went back and tried classic mode. I might do that in the future just to see what it's like, but I have a feeling that it's not going to be like original turn-based RPG. It might be, but I just have this feeling like maybe I want to play the game the way it was kind of intended to be played. And what's funny, it's been years since I played Final Fantasy VII, but as I was playing through that demo and playing through all the upgraded environments, I'm like having flashbacks to the original game. Like, I remember this part, I remember this part, I remember this part, and it was just like, I want to play through the remake now just to see like what kind of a difference 20 plus years has on a game. Because when did this game come out? Like 97 or 98? I'm pretty sure it was 97. And I was just blowing me away like, yeah, this is really cool to see an upgraded version of a game I played so much back in the day. So, am I excited for Final Fantasy VII Remake to come out after playing the demo? Kind of. Now, it's not going to be where I don't know if I'm going to get the game and I'm just going to start playing it right away. I might finish up what I'm around playing and then play it, kind of jump it ahead of other games that I'm playing. I might do that, but I'm not going to drop everything I'm doing to play the game when I get it. But I could kind of see, I'm kind of like turning around on it. At first I was like not interested at all because it wasn't going to be exactly like the original Final Fantasy VII. But now I'm thinking, you know what? It's probably a good thing it's not like exactly like the original game, because now I'm going to be playing a familiar story, but in a whole new way. So that's what I have to say about Final Fantasy VII Remake, demo, and the game. Looking forward to the game when it comes out. So if you like this kind of rambling video, let me know, because I'm probably going to do things like this more often, where I could just talk about stuff and not have to do a whole lot of research or anything, and just make the video, because I don't know, this is more how I feel like I want to do videos. So let me know what you think. I'm gonna leave it at that. Thanks for watching. See you all next time.